Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Today is Friday. It is the 11th. It's like fries, right? 11. It's like the fries. Okay, anyway, it's gonna be one of those days, y'all, so just be prepared. No, Simon, don't get your hopes up. I just love this hat. Um, I hope you guys are having a great week. We're excited. We're en route to the Big Balls. We've got Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland behind us. He's going to be joining us in a little while when we get down there and get set up. It's Federal Defense Friday, so we're going to cover a whole bunch of a range of topics so that we can kind of show how diverse we really are here on Texas Fully Loaded. But it's been comical. I went back and I looked at my phone to see what the actual date was that we started reporting on the balls. And so we were down there on July 9th. It has taken a month for the left to come out with their fake outrage about how mean Greg Abbott is and how he's, doing all this nonsense. We've been keeping a close eye on it. Of course, you guys know we're friends with the border czar, Michael Banks, and we're in huge support of everything that he's doing. But it's been hysterical to watch this progressively ridiculous stupidityness. Enjoy that. So that of the media and how they're covering it and how they're angling this stuff. And I've talked about how they are just kind of putting a twist on things. I showed you guys on the show a couple of weeks ago. If you actually put it into your search browser, whatever it is, aerial view of the floating barrier in Texas or in Del Rio, I think is what, or even in Rio Grande, none of the pictures that pop up were actual pictures of, number one, the Rio Grande, number two, of the actual system that's in place. So, and if you read news articles and stuff, until recently, they weren't showing the actual footage of what was actually going on. So it's kind of been exciting to be able to, yet again, do as we usually do with our crystal jellyfish and predict the future on this stuff and actually report the truth, which is something that the left doesn't like. And apparently the right doesn't like it either. It's so we're gonna get down there. We'll get into the weeds, if you will. Get it because it's on the river. We'll get into the weeds of that in a little bit. Like I said, we're en route to that right now. But we're gonna do a little topsy-turvy today. No, I'm gonna be outside, Miss Patty. I'm gonna be outside. This is what you do when you're gonna be outside, and it's cloudy. Now I'm hopeful though that this means that we might get some RAIN. I want to say it and jinx it. So y'all, you know what I mean, though. So we're going to do some topsy-turviness, and we're going to bring Miss Helena on. Oh, you're muted.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I am good. How are you? I see you are traveling in a vehicle.
We are. We're on the way to go and play with the balls.
You're going to play with the balls in the river, huh?
I mean, you can't. I hope Simon hasn't started his counter, or has already started his counter, because I want to see how many times that we can make balls jokes in the show.
It should be quite interesting how this is going to unfold today. I did
Absolutely
see a little video clip. Apparently, there's some saw blades in between those balls. And is that what the left is outraged by? They actually, those balls are looking like they might be quite effective on so many levels to keep that part of the river from being invaded. So kudos to all the Texans down there who are doing their due diligence to try to keep this border situation under control. It looks terrible down there, but I appreciate you heading that direction to keep us informed as to what's going on.
So the funny thing, and I was just looking, it's on this phone that I'm on and not my other phone, but I one of the very first things that I made a reference to when hey, Simon's the count tracker for that, Miss Patty. One of the very first things that I made reference to is that people will have a hard time trying to climb over them because, and I've got an up close picture of it, and I said because of this right here, and it's the saw blade that they're trying to reference. It's not a saw blade. It's literally just where the metal disc, if you will, is there to hold the balls together. So it's like a spacing disc for them, but it is jagged. So, I mean, and I made the statement then, I said, the cool thing about this is that they're not going to just be able to grab onto this. They're going to cut their hand.
Oh, so it seems like it is a jagged ball bearing. I like that. That's quite innovative.
Yeah. I
Not
mean, it's just, I don't know if it was built that way on purpose or if it was a happy accident. Like happy, what is it? Happy trees. Isn't that what Bob Ross used to say? So I don't know if it's like a little happy blades in between each ball. I don't know what that was, but you know, you're putting something up for security. So when you do that, you would expect there to be security measures, right? In Mexico, for example, and even like private places here, I've seen it done when they will build like these concrete walls. They literally take beer bottles or soda bottles, the glass ones, they smash them so that they have like that bar fight kind of bottle to them, and then they put them in the cement walls. So if that's sufficient enough to be able to do to your personal private property, I don't understand why something that you weld together is now a just horrible human tragedy.
Oh, because it falls under the category of rules for me, but not for thee, Sandra.
Hey,
That's why.
you know what?
The,
Gosh darn
the
it! When you're right, you're
hypocrisy
right.
of the left, it always, leaves me with scratching my head on so many levels. It's just insanity, absolute insanity. What's going on? So, who you headed down there with?
So there might be this really cool guy that I know that's joining us, and then Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland. He's the sheriff of Terrell County. He's going down there to put his eyes on the balls, and we're gonna get his take. He's running an exploratory committee for Congressional District 23. So we're gonna kind of catch up with him and see what he's got going on, and see what he thinks. He's a retired Border Patrol agent and a current sheriff. So he's considering running for District 23. So we'll see what he thinks about it because it is in Congressional District 23.
Oh, gotcha. Well, like I said, I really appreciate all of you guys and being down there at the border. I know it's not easy. It's really hard work, and somebody has to do it. And you always step up, always, and do your due diligence to try to save the great state of Texas. I'm proud of you.
As they say, so goes Texas, so goes the nation. So we have to do our part to save the Lone Star State.
Absolutely.
If it goes
Absolutely.
out, then the other 49 look awfully dim.
Well, it's not looking real great from the 30,000 view at the moment. So there's so much happening right now. Gosh, I mean, where do you even begin? More arrests for Jan Sixers. Trump's getting indicted. Now they're trying to put a gag order on Trump. I just glossed over a article that was just written in the Gateway Pundit. They want to silence Trump so that he can't speak out. He can't campaign. He can't do anything. Yet nobody is paying any attention to what happened with the Hunter laptop and Biden and all of their nefarious things that they've done through the Biden crime syndicate family. It's just
Right.
everything just seems to be so upside down right now. It's
Well, I was
astonishing.
I was yesterday. I talked a little bit on the show about some of this Trump indictment stuff, and them people getting upset with him being faced with a gag order. But the problem is that when they said, hey, you can't go trash talking the prosecutors and you can't go trash talking the process, and then as soon as he says okay, and then as soon as he steps out of the courtroom, he's like, man, these bunch of bitches, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't help his cause. So it's like he's like, you know what? Come on, give it to me. If it would have been me or you, we would have already been in jail. We would have already been held in contempt because he's breaking the court orders. So
Well,
it kind of goes back to a different conversation. So he's not helping the case right now. You know what I'm saying?
and I've certainly been very vocal about that as an advocate for the Gen 6 community. And
Right.
he's not facing anything that most of these men and women have been facing: incarceration for over 2.5 years, solitary confinement. If you are so lucky as to be out during your trial and awaiting, your trial and or sentencing, you're most likely having to wear an ankle monitor, go into pretrial services, probation, do UAs, and jump through all of these hoops that the system has set up. So Trump, while I'm, upset that this has happened to him, I'm not so upset. The fact that he's got a huge legal team, he's got the money, he's got the means, he can certainly represent himself, and the Jan Sixers did not have this luxury. Although I think that is very sad for America, that we're having to go through all of this. I also feel like it has woken up a lot of his base to actually see what truly is going on. And a lot more people are talking about it. A lot more people are getting involved, and a lot more evidence is coming out. I mean, if you go on Twitter, it's the conversation definitely is Trump, the campaign, the Jan Sixers, their plights, and I think that a lot more people are really willing to get their heads out of the sand and start getting involved now. So I think that's the silver lining as far as I see it. Because people are now engaging in the conversation about what's going on with our Gen 6 hostages and what's happened to them for more than 2.5 years.
No, I absolutely agree. And, you and I had the long conversation last week with our guest, Mel. And that, I think it's important that this is now going to be taken to a more national conversation level, instead of being buried in the 5 o'clock news. So I think that this is, and the rest of us fighting to get the information out. So it's definitely going to be, well, the other side, though, is that if Trump doesn't watch his mouth, it could also reflect badly for the other J6ers, for the real J6ers. So it's definitely something where it could go either way.
Well, I somewhat agree with you, although, what Jack Smith's big mistake was, and this Pandora's box that he opened up in the court documents, he talks about the election and election integrity. And now that has opened up Trump to be able to present his evidence of the stolen election in various parts around the country. So I think he really shot himself in the foot. And now they're realizing, I think this is just one aspect of it. I mean, this is multifaceted, and it's kind of like an onion. You got to peel back the layers to really understand the process and what's going on. But I think they really did shoot themselves in the foot when they presented this case this way. And then I also read an article that Jack Smith went and got a subpoena for Trump's Twitter. So now they're digging into his Twitter, and I say, amen, please bring it. Because, there were things that got tweeted out that day. Trump saying specifically, peacefully and patriotically walk to the Capitol to air your grievances. But that tweet was taken down within minutes of him tweeting that out. But I want that evidence to come out. I want everything to come out. I mean, we need all of this information to get out to the public domain, because for 2.5 years, the country's been gaslit by the mainstream media and the left, and they were shown those same 5 clips of, the violence that happened in the tunnel, where Roseanne Boylan was killed. All of that stuff is just now coming out, and the public hasn't seen those videos with narration or with the audio on to actually hear what happened in those moments. So this is opening up a big can of worms for the prosecuting attorneys in Washington, D.C., and I'm not sure how they're going to get ahead of this. I think it's all going to crumble, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't really know much more than other people know. But, I always try to stay hopeful.
No, I agree with that assessment, because they're going to have to pay attention. And, we talk all the time that we watch a lot of the leftist news so that we can kind of see what their spin is on things. And I was watching something, gosh, a few days ago, and it was the left's take on some of this J6 stuff. And I was just like, part of it, like, if you watch it with an open mind, you're like, holy crap, like these people are demons. Like they should absolutely get the books thrown at them. And then they have this, I guess he's a former police officer, a DC police officer, and he was retired from the army, I think is what he was from. And he's carrying on about, he's sick and tired of being called a traitor to his country, and he was the only one defending it, and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
And so it was an interesting take to listen to all of this, and I'm just like, what was he really there on January 6th? Like, he's talking about all his PTSD from that day, and he had 30 years in the army, and he didn't have PTSD until he did this, and I'm just like, okay. So but they were only able to produce a few. And they talk, what we've talked about here on TFL, of course, with you guys' assistance, is being able to hone in on what's actually the truth on some of this stuff instead of just the propaganda on this stuff. And I love being able to do it. And I think it's really fun that today we're going to be looking at different federal defense situations, with talking with you guys, or we're talking with you, and then also seeing what's happening with these balls and stuff, and put that spin on things. Because one of the things that Thad says, and I don't want to take his thunder, but if they're willing to lie to you about the border, what else are they willing to lie to you about? And I know what's happening on the border, and that's exactly it. Like I'm watching something, and that's what brought me into the race back in 2020. I said Henry Cuellar is over here screaming that there's nothing to see on the border, and that we don't have any problems, as I'm watching cartel run through my kids' baseball games. So don't tell me, like, I'm physically seeing this happening. So if you're lying to me about what I'm physically watching, what else are you lying to me about? So
That's right.
now I know that last week you were going to be getting in to see, hopefully see the Proud Boys. Is that correct?
Well, we didn't get an opportunity to go and see them last week, but today, Suzanne and I are going to go visit Dominic Pizzola. That's why I have to get off of here about 12 o'clock. He is one of the Proud Boys. He was the Proud Boy that did not catch that 1512 charge. So he's the only one that is not facing, 2 decades in prison. But the amount of time that the DOJ and probation is wanting Dom to serve is 8 years now. He got his probation report back last week, and he's a veteran, and he served this country. And the last time I spoke to Dom, he was pretty down, and he wasn't really as upset about what is happening for him as he is for the rest of the guys, because they're looking at very, very long sentences. They've all gotten their probation reports back, and Enrique Tarrio, they want anywhere between 18 and 25 years. Ethan Nordine and Zach Riel, they want, and Joe Biggs, they want anywhere between 15 and 20 years for those three guys. And then Dom is looking at 8, if not more. And it really is at the discretion of the judge, because he could add more time if he wants to. And we have seen, the treatment of the Proud Boys in Judge Kelly's courtroom. So we're just praying that, they're not going to get these heavy sentences, but also very much preparing for the appellate process to appeal these sentences and the decision. So, they've got a long ways to go, and they're still standing strong. I did get a chance to speak to Enrique last week over the live stream at the DC Gulag. One of his very dear friends came into town when Trump was indicted. Maurice, Blacks for Trump. So I took him down to the prayer vigil with me, and it just so happened that Enrique got on the phone and was able to talk to us for a few minutes. He is going to be putting out a very big statement. Their sentences are on, Enrique goes first. Him and I believe Zach Riel go on the 30th, then Joe Biggs and Ethan, and then Dominic Pizzola will be on the 1st of September. So it'll be, they're going consecutively 3 days in a row. So we'll see. I want to try to pack the courtroom. It's really important that these judges know that America is concerned about what's going on. So it's important for us to get as many people in that courtroom as possible, and we will be there. And I got some really great yellow ribbons that got sent to me with the Proud Boys names on them. So we're going to be distributing those to the family members. And, we're just, all we can do is pray, take it day by day, continue to try to push our fundraising campaign for the commissary and communications to try to help all of these guys, so that they can at least speak out and talk to their families. It's super important. And I think you've got the Yellow Ribbon campaign up on the ticker. I can't really see, but that's something that we're really focusing on, is this fundraising campaign, because now, as of yesterday, we have 185 J6 detainees locked up. It costs about $500 a month to fill these commissary and communications. And as a community, we're able to raise about $20,000, but we're about $60,000 short on a monthly basis. And we're really trying to take away all of this burden on all of these families and help them to raise this money so that we can relieve the families of that burden, and also bring some small comfort to these guys in jail so that they can communicate and they do have commissary. So, and a lot of the guys can't even eat the jail food, which is not even fit for a dog.
Oh yeah, no, and the number of stories that we've heard about poisoning or it being rotten and things like that, like I mean,
Yes.
I don't blame them at all. And you got to take into consideration there might be food allergies and things along that nature. So, it's so important for you guys, if you can, to try and give to this commissary fund. If it's not down here on our ticker, you can go to texasfullyloaded.com and click on friends and support, and you'll see it. The direct link is going to be right there on the Texas Fully Loaded website. So and that's the whole thing. I think that one of the things that we've been able to do partnering with you, Helena, is making sure that this information is getting out, because people don't know that this is happening. And to make it go even further, it's kind of changing the narrative. I guess we're not going to get any of that R word that I spelled out because the sun's coming out now. But it's changing the narrative on what people thought. And I told people when we first started doing this, I said, look, I'm not asking for you to completely like jump into the deep end with your Speedo on, but I just want you to be able to stop and listen to the conversation so that maybe you might be able to have a different perspective on things. And that's exactly what's happening. I think people are realizing that it's not what the media is trying to make out January 6th to be. They're actually realizing that it was just regular people who, most of them didn't even go inside of the Capitol building. Some
That's
people were
right.
just there. They're being prosecuted. They're being detained based on their love of just for a lack of better terms, MAGA. All things American, the don't tread on me mentality, and things like that. And it's you know as silly as it sounds, but if you have the Garrison flag on your top socket on your phone, you're a target.
Yeah, you absolutely are. And the other thing that I just want to touch on real quick is there's a lot of people that reach out to me all the time because, as you know, the general and I do Twitter spaces. We do Twitter spaces for informational purposes. We do fundraiser Twitter spaces for Jan Sixers. We do the call outs from the guys from the DC Gulag every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where the guys call out and then we get to hear them sing the national anthem, which is amazing. And it's always the same sentiment when these guys call out. They're really not as worried about what is going on in there with them as they are their friends and their families on the outside, who really are just very saddened by everything that is going on. But the one thing that I want to tell you guys, if you truly do want to get involved, because there's a lot of people that reach out to me all the time and say, what can I do? The one thing that you can do, not everybody can donate monetarily, but we can all give a little bit of our time. So if you want to get involved and you want to help, I suggest that you go to patriotmailproject.com and you adopt a Jan Sixer in your state, and you send them letters of hope and prayers and kind words to encourage them, to make them know that they have not been forgotten. Get to know them, get to know their families, start advocating for them, because everybody needs funding. They need funding for lawyers. They need funding to pay their home bills. Most of these men and women are the main breadwinners in their families, and that has been taken away, and their families are all struggling, if their families have even been able to stay together at all. A lot of them have lost their wives and their children. Their families have walked away from them, and that's where we can step in and fill in the gap for them now and help them out. So you can go to patriotmailproject.com and you can write these Gen Sixers letters and get to know them and their families. You can go to the J6 Commissary Fund.org and you can donate to the commissary fund, and we have the first and foremost expert working with us. She's working with 3 different organizations. We're trying to pull all of our funds together to make sure that everybody has a sufficient amount of money that they need in order to fill these commissary and communications. So those are just one of a few ways that you can get involved. Another thing that you can do, Congress is out of session right now. You can go to their offices and you can sit down and you can have conversations with them, and you can talk to them about whatever issues you want to have. But please mention to your Congress people that we do have political hostages on American soil, and see if you can't spark up that conversation and see where their heads at and where they lie and how they feel about the political hostage situation, because we've got to get everybody engaged in the conversation.
No, and that's a really great a really great idea for people to realize, and it's something that we've talked about here on the show quite a bit, is that your government works for you, right? This is some of this we the people work that we talk about all the time. You have the right as a citizen, as a member, an active member of the United States of America, to go and speak to your representatives, whether it's your congressman, whether it's your state representatives, your state senators, your city council people. Like this is a big conversation. This is a bigger conversation than most people realize. Helena, I don't know that we've shared this story with you before or not, but we had when we did a rally right after January 6th in Laredo. The city council tried to make us be painted like criminals because we're just like those awful J6ers. And so I had to go and lay down some slapdowns on some council members. And it's important that we realize that it's not just somebody who's running for office that can do these things. It's the regular citizens. People need to go and YouTube your county commissioner's court and watch the number of people that stand up during public comments. And sometimes it's the same old lady that's there every single week, or the same old man that's there every single week, or every single time they're in session, to say, "Hey, I've been writing you. I've made appointments in your office to come and talk to you about the excessive fuel spending, or this water issue that we're having, or the fill in the blanks." And this is a bigger conversation. And so now remember, guys, when you guys do go to speak to your representative, make sure that when you start talking to them about the J6 information and where they can find it, that you let them know that they can watch every Friday here on Texas Fully Loaded, and we'll give them the rundown.
Well, yeah, and let me just, I'm going to send it to you, and we're going to elaborate on this next week. What we're doing is starting a candidate pledge campaign, and we're going to get that out to the public so that you can take this pledge and you can go to your city council meetings, you can go to your REC meetings, your Republican Executive Club meetings, you can go to your GOP meetings, and anybody who's running for office, you can get them to sign the pledge that they will do something to help the political prisoners. We also have bullet points that we're going to be sending out with that pledge. It's also a conversation starter. So as long as you're armed with the information and you can get out into the public domain and you can speak to these people who are going to be running for office, we want America First candidates running. And this is going to be one way that we can vet these people to see what their stance is going to be about the political hostage situation. So we're going to talk about that next Friday, and I'm going to have all of the material for Sandra to be able to share out with all of your viewers. And hopefully it will be something that people will take. And I've already got Corey Mills. I just got a notification this morning that somebody went to a city council meeting yesterday, and Corey Mills, who is in Florida in the 7th district, has already signed the pledge. So has Chris Ross, who is running for Senate, State Senate House in West Virginia. He's already signed the pledge. So we're building momentum and we're getting the information out. But like Mama Mickey says all the time, we the people be the people. It is up to us to step up and do what we can to save this country. And I think that we can all see that we're going to have to participate if we're going to make any changes whatsoever.
Hey, General.
Hi, General.
What's going on?
How's it
what are you
going?
doing? Where are you
I'm
at?
down here. I'm down here in the Eagle Pass. We've got Sheriff Cleveland here with us. I don't know if you watch the news or not, but apparently people are upset we got balls in the water. Because we're hurting.
Yeah.
Hey, mean old Texas DPS, they're just turning people away, and it's just not nice.
They'll accept the balls and they'll like the balls.
Sometimes the balls are a little pokey, but it's okay. It's still nice, no?
Yes.
Like it will
There's
make
something
them.
wrong with you people. There's something wrong with you people.
If they like it, we'll make them eat the balls.
It could happen. Just saying.
It could happen. It could happen. Walt is kind of getting some stuff set up on the other side, but I want to show you guys this while I've got you both here real quick. And we will have to take a commercial break, but let me see. I was going to try and turn my camera around, but I'm just kidding. That takes way too much time. I want you guys to see. So this is fine, right? This is fine. But balls that, people can see in the dark, that's not okay. But if you kind of look along here, there's trash and stuff right over there's the other side. That's way trashier, for multiple reasons. But there's a real issue that's happening here, and a lot of the problem that people don't realize is that when this gets put on people's personal property, when the government when Texas came in and said, hey, can we put just a temporary fencing up, or can we put some concertina wire up? And the landowner said, yeah, of course. The state didn't take responsibility for that. The landowner is responsible. So now if somebody gets hurt in this, or if it breaks off from their property and floats down the river and somebody gets entangled in it, the property owner that allowed the government to put that on there, whether it was the state or the federal government to put that on there, they are now personally liable for any injuries that are caused by this if it's on their personal property. And so it's a huge headache. It's a huge, you've got a lot of these landowners who are patriots who really want to stop this invasion, but they're going, we need a little bit of something here, guys. Like we'll allow you to do what you need to do, but we're going to need, it's not necessarily the financial compensation part of it. It's the, hey, can you help with some of this liability part of it, And so I think that part of the problem is that when you get these liberal hippies out here who want to pretend like there's a whole bunch of fake outrage and we're ruining the river, they have no idea what they're talking about. And so we love to shine that light on them.
Can I ask you a quick question? Does that trash down there that they leave behind not ruin the river too? I mean, is that not a thing that they want to talk about, or they're concerned with all of these environmentalists and, climate change freaks, because I don't have a better word?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, Helena. The problem is those Republicans who hate the environment. And so we're causing that too, I'm sure. It doesn't matter that we have more Republicans that come down and clean up these areas probably than the Democrats do. I personally have come down and cleaned up stuff, not at this park, but the parks down in my district. So it's funny when you say that out loud, because that's not the thing that we need to be mad about. Apparently the turtles that are in the Rio Grande, they don't deserve to not have plastic straws up their nose. It's only the ones out in the ocean in the Pacific or some crap like that. So
Of course.
it's only when it's a good photo op. Right now we don't care about the animals that are in the Rio. They every once in a while they'll try and start throwing up these nonsense conversations about butterflies and migratory patterns and how walls will hurt that. And we had a Border Patrol agent wife a few years ago, I think it was 2018, 2017 time frame. I think it was 2018. She actually got banned from a butterfly page because she said that her car kills more butterflies annually than a wall will. She said,
way to take one for the team. Thanks, ma'am.
That that sounds like that video of that kid that's like supposed to take their bowl to the sink, but it's too heavy. It's too heavy. It's too heavy. I'd like to take the bowl to the sink. Too heavy. I mean, that's like, it's nonsense. I mean, really, what we got is we got a major issue with an invasion. Okay, so like all bets are off. You got to treat it as such. You have to do what you got to do. And of course they're going to try to bring up any kind of little thing to stop anything from happening, going against the agenda. So, whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. Well, hey, we need to take a quick commercial break. Will you guys be able to stick around for another minute?
I can stick around for about 15 more minutes.
Perfect, because then we're going to have to move on to Sheriff Thad. So that'll be perfect. So give us just a minute for a quick commercial break, guys. Refill your coffee. Get y'all friends up on here. We'll be right back. We are back with a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors. Of course, the Montgomery County Tea Party. Don't forget the first and the third Monday of every month. Be at Citizens Grill in Conroe, Texas. Meeting starts at 6:30, so get there early because they start sharp. They're on time. Not the story of my life, but we're pretty consistent here in GFL, gosh darn it. And then, of course, don't forget about the Vietnam Veterans of America. Their service and sacrifice went far beyond a distant shore. They still continue to serve their fellow veterans, both past and present, families and communities. So make sure you check them out, vva.org, and find a local chapter that you can get involved in. Even if you just take them a plate of cookies or a case of sodas or waters or something for their next meeting, buy a raffle ticket because they're always fundraising and they pour it back into their communities. So be a part. Don't forget the Baytown chapter is going to be hosting the Texas convention in late October. So be on the lookout for that. As soon as we have a flyer, we're going to make sure that we get that out. And make sure that you guys are watching the Texas Fully Loaded website. That way you can find all of the latest and greatest information. Make sure you click on the TFL shop and get this awesome t-shirt, except you'll get it in the cool colors. This one's a nice color, but I'm anxious. I gotta get on my dad. Actually, I just gotta call dad and tell him what size I need. So that we can get some of the fun colors, be part of the program. There's also some other giftware things that are available. So make sure that you check out that. And when you click on the friends and sponsors link, you'll be able to find all of the things that we support and talk about here on Texas Fully Loaded, especially that J6 commissary fund that Helena was talking about just a few minutes ago. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of that you're a part of the process. Because we the people work is not just about rolling up your sleeves as much as it absolutely is, but it's also about we need to be funded, so we need your support. So while you're there, you can either shop and support us that way. You can go to mammothnation.com and sign up and support us that way, or you can give directly on the Texas Fully Loaded website at that hashtag We the People Work. We also have Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo at Texas Fully Loaded. And now back with the team for a couple more minutes. You know, I was laughing as I was saying that stuff out loud because you have all of these grifters that come down here to the border who try to act like they're here all the time and that they know what's actually going on. And then you watch their podcasts, even on national syndicated stuff, and you're like, these people are so full of crap. And yet they're fundraising hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're not even this close to the stuff. Like they're literally, and they have these freaking little SWAT teams that travel with them and all this other crap and propaganda. And I'm like, are you outside of your freaking brains? Look, I've been traveling this border well, I've lived on it for almost 15 years. I've been traveling it most of the time with Walter, but more often than not by myself. I actually used to get followed by the cartel all of the time. And so, look, they can sit here and throw their propaganda all they want to, but I've never once not felt unsafe because we have the best in the business out here protecting our borders. We've got, and down here where we're at, we have Florida. Florida's out here helping secure the scene as well. So we appreciate Ron DeSantis sending them our direction because we definitely need the support. What people don't realize is we've been down here in the middle of the day, just like this, and we've watched them with a group of 20 coming across with DPS in Florida and Border Patrol and everybody just staring at them like, are you freaking serious right now?
Yeah.
People, they don't care about our country, guys.
It's a mess. There's a whole bunch of mess going on down there. Man, I'm going to blast off a whole bunch of stuff right connected to the big stuff to get it out. I know we got like maybe 10 minutes left. So, so we got the DC police chief that was chief of police coming out on Tucker yesterday. Okay. Basically explained and exposed Yogananda Pittman, Thomas Manger, and many other felony intelligence that happened on January 6th. Intentional is basically what is being sold to us. Big stuff, big bombshell. I mean, this basically proves that what happened on January 6th was completely choreographed, put together, and created. I mean, this testimony and this witness, it has basically exposed what really happened that day. It was a trap. It was set. They knew it. The people that were involved in it all the way. It was absolutely proven. That happened. We got Tarek Johnson that's working heavily. He's the MAGA hat DC police officer that was, out there basically trying to calm the situation, yelling for help, requesting over and over and over again, just like the police chief did, ignored completely for over 70. It was absolutely a choreographed, created moment in history. They wanted it to be way worse than it was. But fortunately, the people there, they weren't out there for blood. They weren't out there to harm those police officers and do anything that they claim that they claim that the J6 did. So a lot of stuff, bombshell stuff, has come out. I urge everybody to go watch that Tucker interview with the DC Capitol, chief. Watch that. Listen to what, because I called this out 6 days after January 6th at the Texas Capitol. So call me way before my head of my time. Able to see through the bullshit. That happened.
You had a crystal jellyfish. We share that in common. So,
Yeah.
side note, we're down in the French Quarter earlier this week, and they had all the tarot card readers out, right? And they have their little stones and cards and all that kind of crap. And there's one every 15 feet or so, right in front of Jackson Chapel or Cathedral. And so we're walking, and one of them had an actual crystal ball. And I just started cracking up laughing. I ran over to Walt and I said, "Walt, I got to get a real crystal ball. I don't think jellyfish is enough." And he's like, "I think the jellyfish has done you just fine."
And of course, we have the 80 to 75-year-old man that was murdered by the FBI in Utah, Salt Lake City, for bogus nonsense, threats. When Trump was president, 12,000 credible threats that were on social media, and they did not go and arrest or even attack or raid, not one single one of them. So you know exactly what happened in Salt Lake City, Utah. They targeted this man and they murdered him. So there's a lot of things that have happened, lately, along with the $20 million that the Biden crime family accepted through bribes and team stuff. So we're getting into some interesting moments in time right now.
No, we really are, and I don't know if you got to hear when Helena and I were talking, but one of the things that we were specifically talking about is, it's we're kind of feeling a little bit of vindication in some of this, but we're also excited because I think that this is going to expose a lot more stuff that's going on. People are now paying attention to it a little bit closer, I think, for good reason, but also I think that it could also tip in the wrong direction. And we were watching I want to say it was MSNBC the other day, and just kind of their compilation on some stuff within the last 2 weeks, and it was just absolute. I wanted to throw up. I was like, if you watch it not knowing anything, I can see why people think that the J6ers are evil human beings. But you can counteract everything that they had to say, but if you just watch it at face value, it's a scary situation. And so I'm thankful that Tucker has continued his fight in this as well, for whatever level it is. But he's got that bigger voice that's at least exposing what we've all been screaming. So you guys and your tireless work and doing this every single day, and we get to share a piece of it on Fridays, and we bring it up a little bit more when we can. But golly, there's so much that people just don't know, and so much misinformation on stuff. And so, it's exciting to see that narrative to start changing in the bigger conversation.
You got to look at it like this. They want to pin the blame all on the there, exercising their First Amendment right. Obviously there were some intentional failures that happened. So if they're going to go after these J6ers the way that they've gone for that failure that day, for that situation, that thing that happened, they need to go after the people that are responsible for election. That's really came out about that conversation with Tucker, DC police chief.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I'm going to have to keep you guys muted a little bit on my end, so y'all have to carry for a second because they're starting to move the airboats. I don't know if you can hear them or not.
I can hear them. Let's go. No, but you're absolutely right, Sandra. The Jan Sixers have been completely vilified and smeared in the mainstream media, and I think the dam and the time and the winds are changing. As more truth comes out, and we push this out on social media, and these videos that are now coming out through a lot of people's efforts, and I'm going to give some people some shout outs today. There's Investigate J6, AJ Fisher, who's a Proud Boy, also a veteran that has been just working tirelessly to try to get the truth out. Trennis Evans, of course, who, just so you know, has to go drive 9 hours to self-surrender today. He's starting to serve his sentence. He's going to do it on the weekends so he can continue his work during the week. He has to drive 9 hours to self-surrender, and he's going to have to do that for the next 2.5 months. We've also got David Summerall with Stop Hate. That man has just gone above and beyond and worked so incredibly tirelessly to get the truth out, along with Gary McBride, M5 News, Tommy Tatum, the General. I mean, there's so many. There's another guy, his handle on Twitter is Tank Man, and he has done more for the Jan 6 community than could possibly be measured. So if you're on Twitter, please start following some of these people and share out their tweets, because we really need to step up and help them get this information out so that we can truly change the narrative and get the truth out. It's way overdue. It's way overdue. And please join our Twitter spaces. The General and I do a Twitter space on Tuesdays in the afternoon, 4 p.m. Texas time. And then our calls out from the guys at the DC Gulag every Thursday at 8 p.m., where you can actually hear from the guys themselves, hear their stories in their own words. We provide that platform for them to get their voices out and tell their stories. So those are just a couple of ways that you can get yourself involved.
No, absolutely. And it's really important that people are involved. It's really important that people at least have an understanding of it. We're not asking anybody watching to be a J6 expert. But we are wanting you guys to do is to push people towards the resources. Start the conversation with them and be like, you know what? I don't know all the answers. I don't have a firm understanding myself, but these people have an understanding. They know what's going on. They're up to date on this conversation. Here's the website that you can go to have a better understanding of things as well, because that's what's changing this conversation. Helena and I were talking about that just a little bit ago. People are starting to realize that the media has been lying, and so is the Biden administration.
Yeah.
And they're sick and tired of it, and they're starting to do more research on their own, and they're starting to realize that what's being said out loud is not necessarily what's true. Really quick, because I want you guys to be able to see this, because Helena, you were specifically asking at the beginning of the show. These are the I'm going to show you guys how I can pole dance on this. It's crazy. That'll be later. That'll be later. That'll be in the after hours.
Please be careful.
So these are the mean saw blades that they put out.
Oh my God.
Rule number 1 is that if you don't play with fire, you don't get burned. Have you ever heard that saying, or is it just a Southern thing? So these are jagged, but these are actually used around our military vessels, our Navy vessels, to protect them in the United States and outside, especially. I think one of the first times these specifically got put into play was when the USS Cole was bombed. I don't know if you guys remember that incident or not. So these are not saw blades, but these are part of the washer system to kind of separate. Now, do they serve a double purpose? Absolutely, they do, and it's fantastic. Do you know why? Because these are put out here to keep people away. It's just kind of like when you put a fence outside of your yard, and it's even got those little fake barbed wire things on the top, and it says, you put a sign up, it says, "Do not enter."
I don't know.
Enter anyway, and then you cut your hand.
I mean, really, let's just make like spike ones. I don't care. These premium humanity. I don't.
General, it's funny you say that.
Can we fundraise for from alligators to put in the river? To since they got a problem with the little ball bearings with the jagged edges on them. I don't know. I think alligators would work pretty appropriately as well. Just my 2 cents.
So it's funny that you say that. In my last campaign, I specifically made a statement during a debate about we just needed to put more alligators in the Rio Grande. Now we actually have alligators in the Rio Grande. This is a natural habitat for them. Go figure, right? A natural resource. You probably will not be able to see this. But we got to go and see real alligators. And so there may or may not be a video coming out soon about, rehoming some new alligators.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, if you know anything about alligators, they don't really attack people. I mean, that's not. Yeah, I mean, it's like that's a
And they love
misnomer.
marshmallows.
Yeah, crocodile, they'll try to eat you. Alligators, not so much.
That's why you see
I think
an
we lost
alligator.
Sandra.
You
Thanks,
see a
General.
later
You just burst
alligator,
my
and it's
bubble. I appreciate that. Thanks for that.
Sorry.
well, you know what? I had seen,
All right.
I had heard that
Australian
alligators.
crocodiles, like, what do we need?
Yeah, no, they love hash. So when Arthur was little, he used to call marshmallows hashmos. So when you realize that crocodile, the gators just love hashmos, it's the greatest moment of your life. Changes the whole entire game.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, I love you guys, and I have to jet out of here. And I'm looking forward to next Friday because we're going to have lots of information, and we're going to put out some things that people can do to get involved and engage the public. And Sandra, please be safe and head on a swivel, my dear friend. And the General, I love you guys so much. And I'll tell you guys all about my visit with Dom next week. So appreciate you
Fantastic.
having us on. Thank you so much as always. We love you.
Give our little jailbirds a big hug and tell them that they're not alone. We're fighting with them.
I absolutely will. You guys have a great, safe day. Okay.
Thanks, Helena. Well, General, I've got about 5 or 10 more minutes. It can be all yours before
Okay.
we get on with some border stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's you look at what's going on. You look at what the Republicans are doing. You look at McCarthy. I mean, if this guy doesn't make some action pretty soon, I mean, he's going to be obviously exposing who he is, which I've known who he is for a long time since they were trying to fight to get him into the speaker's chair. It's gonna be one of those things that it's going to be too obvious, and it's going to show that this guy is absolutely part of that uniparty system, which he is. Okay, so most people don't realize that. So we got McCarthy basically sitting back on all this stuff that's going on, all of these like actual evidence, stuff that's going on, and he's not doing anything. He insists that he is going to do something over and over again. He claims he's going to do this. He claims he's going to impeach Garland. He claims he's going to go put the impeachment process in, or the whatever it is. There's no process that needs to be made for Biden anymore. Okay, it just needs to be done. Okay, so we're watching this guy, and what he's doing is basically pussyfooting around, and he's not doing anything. And that's the epitome of what the Republicans are about now. It's we watch the Democrats go after and attack everybody that they possibly can in every kind of way they did, with Trump, and they see all these fake indictments and all this crap on Trump. And you watch the Republicans just sit there and allow it to happen. And then when we have evidence of actual criminal wrongdoing, they just sit there. They don't do anything. So, we got to point out and say what's what, at this point in time in our society, and we're watching these J6ers, just be crucified, and everybody's so up, they're up in a roar about Trump being indicted. These people for 2.5 years have been getting railroaded, and it's time for Trump to step up to the plate too, and actually say something about the J6ers. We have hundreds of stories for him, all based in truth, and it's all out there for him to be able to say, hey, look at this guy. He's super focused on himself, and what he should have been focused on is standing up for the innocent people that were there on January 6th that are being attacked. So that's pretty much all I got, Sandra.
Oh, honey child, preach on that one. You know that's my hot button. But because you're right, you're absolutely correct. And when you see what Kevin McCarthy is not doing, and he ran even on Speaker of the House as, hey, we're not going to impeach Joe Biden. We're not going to play these games like the Democrats do, and because I'm from California and I don't want to get railroaded when I go home. Was essentially his spiel, and now he's like, oh yeah, so turns out, I guess we are going to go ahead and we're going to impeach him, but we got to do the paperwork, and so it's going to take a little bit of time. So give us a few years, and we'll see what we can do here.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at people. We're looking at the Speaker of the House covering for a criminal family. That's what he's doing. That is exactly what he's doing. So if it doesn't happen quick, it doesn't happen soon, he's going to expose who he is. and then everybody else is going to see. We call them normies, okay? The normies out there, you're not tied into the nerve, okay? They learn things that we learned 2 years ago, and that's okay. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying there's a level of ignorance there, for a lot of people out there that are not in tune with what is really going on. And that is what's going on. People need to wake up to the fact that our party, okay, the Republican, are supposedly our Republican Party is not out there doing what's in the best interest for us, for the nation. Yeah, and then he goes on TV and he says it wouldn't benefit, it would harm national security if we actually went after these actual criminals in office. And what that goes back to is about a year ago, the Republicans and Democrats all voted that they could not be investigated in their stock market exchanges and stuff like that, but due to national security. So what these people are basically saying is we have a blank check to do what we want to, be the criminals that we want to. We're in a club and you're not in it, and we can do whatever we want. And that's just the way it's going to be. And y'all piss-ons are going to basically have to sit there and like it.
That's right. I mean, what was well, no, I won't say it. I don't want to get a sense of again. But I mean, that's exactly it. You're going to like this abuse, and I don't care what you say. It's not abuse because we're your daddy, and so just take it. That's exactly what the government's saying, not just to the people, but even to the ones who are fighting to make sure the right thing is being done. And the biggest traitor, as far as I'm concerned, in Washington, D.C. for Patriots is Marjorie Taylor Greene. As soon as she literally got into bed with Kevin McCarthy, she started crapping all over everything that she promised she wouldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get to watch for Chris Wray up there lying through his teeth. He's been caught in at least 18 lies now on the stand, and it refuses to answer any questions whatsoever. He's basically saying, F you, here's my middle finger. I don't have to answer any of your questions. There's nobody that does oversight over me. Y'all just think you do. And that's the problem that we have in this government right now. It's how you move into authoritarianism, totalitarianism. You move into a place where they can come after you, like they did with this 75-year-old man in Salt Lake, Utah, over a freaking post.
Yep, you're exactly right. That's what we. It's going to take all of us so we can keep exposing this nonsense. But more importantly, it's going to take people getting out and voting in the primaries to get these jackwagons. That's where we throw off their vote bases in the primaries. So folks, if you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote and get involved in the primary process, because that is the most important process on how we can change this game around. So, General, I appreciate you being on here with us as you faithfully do every Friday. Thank you so much. Continue the good fight for our J6ers. Rest of you guys, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to be right back with Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland. Thanks, General. Just kidding. I was muted that whole time, stupid. Okay, don't forget about the Montgomery County Tea Party, the first and third Monday of every month, be at Citizens Grill in Conroe, Texas. And in fact, I might be standing right next to one of the next speakers at the next Montgomery County Tea Party meeting. You can't see him yet. Don't want to know we're talking about him. And then, of course, the Vietnam Veterans of America, their service and sacrifice went far beyond a distant shore. They still continue to serve and their fellow veterans, both past and present, in their communities. So make sure that you find a local branch or chapter, get involved, take them a plate of cookies or a case of sodas or something, buy a raffle ticket for whatever they're working on, because it goes back into your community. So they're amazing, an amazing organization. Go to VDA.org and plug in, get involved, and just say welcome home. It truly means everything to them. If you're sick and tired of the big box shopping, go to mammothnation.com/#WeThePeopleWork and sign up. You get a discount if you use that code or that link specifically, and you support Texas Fully Loaded all at the same time. Don't forget to go to the Texas Fully Loaded website and start shopping at our shop. You can get awesome t-shirts, coffee mugs, some other giftware stuff, and you can also just support us directly and go to TexasFullyLoaded.com. So there we are. There's the spiel, because it's probably the last one we're going to do. Now I'm here with the amazing Sheriff. Oh, well, hold on. I'm going to do this backwards. Okay, Thad, come stand here. I'm getting used to this. So Thad is here with us, Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland. He's the sheriff from Terrell County. He's a 26-year Border Patrol agent veteran. He retired from the Sanderson Station, and now he's the sheriff of Terrell County, which is the 10th largest land county in the state of Texas, with a whopping population of less than 800 people. So today, though, we're down here in Eagle Pass, and tell us a little bit about yourself, and welcome formally to the show.
Thank you, Sandra. So howdy. My name's Thaddeus Cleveland, and as Sandra mentioned, I'm a 26-year veteran of the United States Border Patrol. Before that, I spent just shy of 3 years in the United States Air Force, but I was able to get out to go directly into the Border Patrol. I always knew since I was a young little kid that I'd be in law enforcement, either a Border Patrol agent or Texas Department of Public Safety, and Border Patrol called first. And matter of fact, I'd still be there. Unfortunately, our sheriff there in Terrell County, a good friend of mine, he was a 30-year Border Patrol veteran, Santiago Gonzalez Jr., great man. Passed away at the age of 55 from a heart attack as our sheriff. Wow. 1 year in office. So it was.
There's no stress in that job, though, right?
No, I've had the time of my life. This last year and a half, I've had the time of my life. I've caught more illegal aliens this last 15 months than I've caught in my last 11 years. I work about 100 times as hard, which isn't right. It's fun.
Yeah.
I have a fear of missing out at the office. I'm having a little
anxiety.
Little anxiety. Catch some stuff. And then for about a quarter of the pay, but to be honest, and I truly mean it, it's my hometown, the community where I grew up. I do it for free. I've just been blessed to be the sheriff. Like I said, take care of the people there in a little different manner. And actually, I retired as the patrol agent in charge of the Sanderson Border Patrol Station. Served in that capacity the last 11 years, and I can really support Border Patrol agents at my station and throughout the United States Border Patrol for being the sheriff of Terrell County, more so than I could as the patrol agent in charge. So.
And you weren't just a patrol agent in charge. You also did a lot going around the nation and making sure Trump's policies got put into place. Is that correct?
Very, very, very true. Very blessed career. I often tell people my career was like the movie Forrest Gump. I found myself in situations and in locations that never would have even thought of. Spent two tours through our Border Patrol headquarters. Both times were in the Office of Commissioner. One position was Office of Anti-Terrorism. I spent 2 years there, and then I went back to the field and was recruited to go back up to the Office of State, Local, and Tribal Liaison. So again, to work with our counterparts at the local and other federal levels. So, but the position you're speaking of, I spent a year at U.S. Army North, which is in San Antonio at the Quadrangle, the old fort from the 1800s. I was on the staff of Lieutenant General Laura Richardson. She's since picked up her 4th star, the only second female in the United States Army to pick up her 4th star. Great woman. And she's actually in charge of Southern Command at this time. But my job was to represent the United States Border Patrol to ensure our policies and procedures were looked after and then implemented to secure the border whenever President Trump put Title 10 forces on the border for the first time. So, again, just a truly blessed career, and I'd still be there. I love my job, but I've loved doing what I've done as the sheriff there in Terrell County. And it's not just been me. I've got a great partner who's also retired Border Patrol. So, we knew what we were getting into, and we've actually created a partnership with the Border Patrol that's really benefited them at Sanderson.
And I think that a lot of people don't really realize this, but a lot of the sheriff's offices, there are some good sheriff's offices along the border who are partnering up, and not just along the border, but this is where Operation Lone Star comes into play. And they're doing the work of the in-between stuff where the federal government's dropping off and the states having to pick it up. And the sheriffs have this awesome obligation under the Constitution to actually be the highest law in the land. So you kind of get to enforce all of the laws, regardless of if it's state or federal.
Yeah, and well, not some of the federal.
Well, I mean, you can't detain them for being an illegal alien.
Right.
So let's have the clarifying comment on that.
But you're definitely right on the constitutional piece, and then we make our own policy as well. So I like to say that you know, in the Border Patrol, and again, a great career, but just due to the bureaucratic process, their hands have become more and more tied. Whether it's pursuit policy, where they can no longer pursue if certain criteria is met, and they have to quit chasing. Therefore, they reach out to us a lot of times because, again, we create the policy at the sheriff's office, and we're not going to let somebody get away. We're going to do everything we can as long as the public's health and safety is taken care of. Then we'll chase somebody till the end of the world. But with that said, I've had the opportunity to shoot out three smuggler tires, but not just to do it, honestly, to protect my community.
Right.
We're not going to allow a pursuit to go through Sanderson and put somebody else's life in danger or at risk. So.
I keep falling because Dad's as tall as Walter is.
And as we were talking about Operation Lone Star, well, my hands in the mirror, I apologize.
Let's do a little flippy flip. Sorry, America. You're welcome.
So Operation Lone Star, as Sandra mentioned, I'm sure she's talked about it before, just with help from the state of Texas. And even in my county, we got to the point where we were overran. And this was back in October, and I wrote a letter to the governor on a Friday. Actually, it was on a Saturday. I made sure he got it before I posted it. It wasn't anything bad, but it was just asking for more help. And the next day I had one of his staff members contact me. And then the following day, which was a Monday, 2 days later, he actually reached out to me, and I told him exactly what I wanted. And he gave me exactly what I requested. It was just 10 additional DPS troopers in black and white vehicles. That's the color of our patrol cars. And he sent that down, and between November to December, we took almost 100 vehicles off the road that were smuggling illegally. And so
that's fantastic.
It just takes partnerships, truly, in my area. Of course, Sandra's been out to West Texas and where I live, the most remote portion along the southwest border with Mexico, the roughest, most unforgiving terrain along the 2,000-mile stretch of border with Mexico, and unfortunately, with that comes death, and unfortunately, we've had to put 24 people in body bags this last 14 months. So, regardless of what's going on, the politics, we don't want to see anybody die.
Right.
And unfortunately, this current administration has caused more people to die by forcing them, or I shouldn't say forcing, that's wrong, by encouraging them to cross the border.
Right.
We had the safest, most secure border that we've ever had under President Trump. And I'll be the first to tell you, too, I worked under 5 different presidential administrations, President Clinton to President Bush to President Obama to President Trump. Those previous presidents all added to border security. And then, of course, President Trump had the safest, most secure border. But it took this administration that's doing nothing, less than 60 days, 2 months, to completely dismantle everything we had done before. Border Patrol will turn 100 years this year, 100 years old. We just turned 99 back in May.
Yeah.
99 years of success and progress, completely torn down in a matter of about 60 days. So this is stuff that can be fixed, it can be solved overnight, but it takes a president, first and foremost, saying, hey, we're going to secure our borders, and you're not going to cross our borders illegally. And then after that, allowing the agencies that are experts in that to do the job.
Well, and it takes a strong Congress also.
100%.
So
100%, yes.
That's certainly not anything that we're seeing in District 23, which is exactly why the Republican Party of Texas censured Tony Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned earlier that you're running an exploratory committee right now.
Correct.
And we're a couple miles away from Terrell County, but this is in District 23.
It sure is.
So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. There's kind of a command center, for lack of better terms. There is a real command center set up over there. We've got a legal port of entry right behind us. This is an international bridge for people to legally come across.
Correct.
They can even claim asylum at that bridge, can they not?
Where they've been instructed to go to the bridge to claim asylum. Correct.
Okay. And yet they're still choosing this path of most resistance.
Correct.
What's the mentality on that?
They know that if they come to America, regardless of how they enter, they can get a free pass.
They just don't want to stand in line at the bridge.
Right. Well, and then they can get a free pass, and that's what they're getting right now at this time is the ability to come in and just walk into the United States of America, give it a piece of paper, and disappear. Steve McCraw, who's the colonel for Texas Department of Public Safety. He said it best whenever he said it's a notice to disappear rather
Right.
than to appear. So again, it's a solvable problem, something that we can fix. And unfortunately, as Sandra mentioned, our congressman, my congressman in Congressional District 23, actually, we haven't had someone that's actually been from the district. And I grew up in the district. I spent over half my life in the district. I've served my entire adult life serving in the Air Force Patrol now as a sheriff of my hometown. But we need somebody in that position that's going to go and fight for the border, and we don't have that. Unfortunately, our current congressman ran on re-election. The only time we ever seen him is during re-election time,
Right.
And then he ran.
Well, he's too busy teaching in his spare time in Washington D.C. and Maryland.
Exactly.
So,
And of course, to my point.
Yeah.
If I choose to make my announcement and run for Congress, I will stay right where I live in Sanderson, Texas. We need somebody who's from the district that will go out and do the job the way it's supposed to be done. Go out and visit the constituents. But I wanted to mention is going back to Tony. He ran on, or our congressman on. We're going to solve the border problem. Ran for his reelection. Of course, they were ready to put forth a bill, and he was the only Texas U.S. representative on the Republican side that didn't sign on to that bill, which was Chip Roy's bill.
Well, oddly enough, no one's told Tony this yet, but he's actually a Democrat.
Yes. But moving on from that, now he's saying, he's moving away from border security and saying, well, now we need amnesty. And amnesty is the last thing we need. What we have to do first and foremost, before we even look at immigration reform, is we have to secure our border. So if we don't secure our border, people will continue to pour across, or if they think there's going to be amnesty, we'll see other caravans and things of that nature. But I wanted to plug Chip Roy because I'll tell you what, I've been up to D.C. to speak on border security a few times this past year. I've been to many events here on the border with Chip Roy, and he's been the only U.S. representative from the state of Texas that's been at each of those events, each one that I've been at. And he's fighting for other things that are good, whether it's our kids, our families, our schools. And now, of course, he's saying, let's not fund DHS. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to see my brothers and sisters in green punished, if you will, or maybe go without, which they won't, because we've gone through and
more than
budgets.
One shutdown.
Yeah, so they'll still get a paycheck, but nonetheless, what Chip does for a district that's not even his, I'm truly grateful for.
No, absolutely. Now I want to walk a little bit here. I'll take this from you for a second. I want to walk down here just a little bit. Now, your terrain in Sanderson, you'd made the statement before that it's some of the most dangerous terrain really on the entire U.S.-Mexico border, and I can honestly attest to that. I've seen it firsthand. And the what we're seeing here is really just kind of, honestly, it's child's play, right? It's just a big game of the string game right here. Just like when you were a kid and your mom would put strings on the wall and you'd have to try and wiggle your way through it. And
you get that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And look here, and I pardon the interruption.
No. Go ahead.
And as you said, yes, where I work, and actually I worked in Eagle Pass for about 9 months as U.S. Border Patrol agent. So I worked this area back before we had the concertina wire, a lot more cane back then, a lot less infrastructure, but that's what really made our border safe was the added technology, the added infrastructure, and for sure the added manpower. Because no matter how much technology or infrastructure you have to have that man with the badge on that can get out there and make those apprehensions. But I just participated in an article written by the Center Square talking about the Biden administration using the Endangered Species Act on the state of Texas and Governor Abbott because of the buoys, and talk about how it's killing off the mussels in the water, that look like giant clams, for lack of better terms, out here in West Texas. But I mean, look at this water right here. I mean, you can see some shoes floating. I mean, it just looks murky and dirty and nasty. Where I live and where I work, it looks very similar. Of course, we have some flowing water, but the buoys aren't killing the mussels. What's killing them where I'm at, and truly, I can take and show you some pictures of some mussels, but it's where the illegal aliens cross, and not only they leave their trash and other materials, but also human waste.
Now, Thad, here's an aspect that I don't think that they're considering. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this on the program or not, but there's a whole bunch of little minnows and little bluefish. See, you know what? They're being protected because the bigger fish can't come in here and get them. So there's always a loophole that nobody actually wants to talk about, and it's a little bit in jest. And guys, it's going to get loud for a second because they're bringing in some airboats here, so we apologize if it gets too loud. But welcome to life on the border. But now, Thad, you spent your career here on the border. You know what the terrain looks like, whether it's down here in Eagle Pass, whether it's up in Terrell County, even up in Arizona, because the decisions that you make as a Congress member don't just affect your district; they affect the entire United States. And so, as much as you're very much the hometown hero, you know other aspects of what's going on, and you're not just a one-trick wonder. You're not just border security. You've also you've been a sheriff, so that opens a whole different set of laws and everything else. But you've also been on the school board.
I was on the school board for 8 years, 4 years as a president of the school board.
And then you've been on the groundwater
conservation district for 6 years, so which has a lot to do with landowner rights, and and people want to come in and actually buy land to be able to pump the water out and transport it out of your county and sell it to other locations. And sorry to interrupt you. And then the last one was our appraisal district board, which dealt with our taxation there in our local community on homes and the school taxes and things of that nature. So again, I got to a point in my life where I realized things don't just happen. As you grow up and events happen and whatnot, but it actually takes somebody giving up some personal time. And again, I've served a life of service, and I think I shared with Sandra one day about my kids graduated and woke up one morning and it's like, well, what's next? And it didn't take me long to figure out that it's time to bless others. I've been blessed throughout my life, and I just want to get back and see this country continue to flourish. And ensure that my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids, as well as yours and the other people that are standing around us, make sure that we preserve this country. It's about God, and the preservation of this country, and preservation of freedom.
Absolutely, it is, and we're gonna. This isn't gonna be the last time you see that on Texas Fully Loaded by a long shot. And in fact, we're super excited. We put his website on our ticker here, on the Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff header. But you can go to ThaddeusForTexas.com. You can learn more about Thaddeus. You can see what he's really about, who he really is, and if you would like to help his exploratory committee, you can absolutely do so. We'd be very, very grateful if you did. So go to ThaddeusForTexas.com. Like I said, you can see it on the Facebook link and stuff like that. So one of the things that we're going someone needs to find him first, Sandra Whitten. That's a fact. Where is Tony? That's the $1 million question. # where is Tony? And we've got so many more important stories that we need to talk about. One of the things that we'll touch on super quick, because we do have a couple more minutes that we can spend on it. That we saw about 2 years ago this huge uptick of wristbands. Was that something that you guys are seeing on this part of the border?
They did hear so many requests, not Terrell County where I'm at. Where I'm at, it's primarily adult Mexican males. There will be some females. We won't see too many children, maybe some accompanied children that were with their father, their uncle, cousin, and whatnot. But no, of course, those wristbands we all know are used by the cartel to basically call out who belongs to who and where they're going and what they paid and if they still owe a debt and whatnot. So.
And that's something that the debt part is something, and since you opened the door for it, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about it. You did a Jason Jones interview not too long ago, correct. and some of the stories were just heartbreaking and unbelievable. But specifically, one of the things that and it's fun working with you because I'll try and get a hold of you, and you're like, sorry, we were trying to find a backpack for somebody because they were killed, and the cartel is still holding their family financially hostage, and they're upping the ante every single day. That there's no proof that this person has been killed. And so, but there was a story specifically that you told Jason Jones because your district or your area specifically doesn't usually get a lot of children.
Correct.
Would you tell that story?
Yeah, so I had about a month in office as a sheriff. So I was actually sworn in last May, and it was mid-May, and then mid-June I had a report of a murder that happened. Border Patrol called us up, and we went out to the area, and there was a boy, and he ended up being 15 years old. And he was crossing with his mother as well as his younger brother, who was 9 years old. And as they were going, again, as I described the border where I'm at, I mean, you've got 1,000 to 2,000 foot bluffs. Anything that grows out there will poke you, stick you, or stake and plant it in you, or impaled in you. But he was, the heat was getting to him. He had heat exhaustion, and he started just kind of, you start losing your mind. You start, losing your mind, just to put it plainly. And he was fighting, his mom, his little brother, just getting kind of unruly. So the smugglers, the coyotes or the polleros, whatever you want to call them, they found some twine and they roped his hands together. So he was bound at his hands and then he continued to walk with his mom. And he was bound overnight, we found out, because we did catch his mother, or Border Patrol caught his mother, and she gave us the story. And long story short, he continued to be unruly, and he was fighting and kicking, and the smuggler finally told the mother, said, hey, either you handle this or we're going to handle it. And they said, what you can do is you can get a rock, you can hit him in the back of the head, and that'll knock him out. It won't hurt him, it'll just knock him out, and then that'll get him to relax. And they said, either you're going to do it or we're going to do it. So she did it, and it didn't knock him out. He did fall to the ground, but a lot of them laid onto him. When I say a lot of them, the mother, she had the younger brother lay on the legs.
Hold on.
And then a couple other guys in the group also laid on the boy. And she said after a few minutes, he quit moving. And then they realized that he had died. And she left him to get to a higher location because she did have a cell phone with her. They got hold of 911, and Border Patrol got out. So we went out there and conducted the interview and the investigation. And, you know, I really felt for this lady. She had suffered enough. And, you know, it's either she was going to have to take care of her, and they had no intent. They didn't know they were going to kill him. So, and that's just one of many stories that we've had of death in this last 14 months. I think I mentioned earlier, 24 deaths. Historically, maybe one death a year is what we have in our area. And that's just ones that we found. There's many more that we haven't found. There's others we've had calls on that we couldn't find the remains, because a lot of times the coordinates, the directions you get just don't match up. But we know there's more lives out there. And, you know, that specific incident was heartbreaking. They're all deaths, you know, you sympathize with it, because if you got a heart, and regardless how someone's crossing our border, it's sad to me. So.
No, absolutely, and you know, it's really been a pleasure getting to work with you so closely the last several months, because he's not just a good looking guy with a badge, ladies. He's got a big heart, and he truly cares about the people in his community. Earlier, he took a call from an older woman, and she's so convinced that somebody's tapping her lines, and you know, he's so compassionate with her. Real work of what it takes to you know, be somebody that can be in office, be trustworthy of whatever level of office that is. And so be with him as he's praying about this next step, and seeing what's going to be the best thing for District 23. And he's got our full support here at Texas Fully Loaded, regardless of what he does. So again, you can go to Thaddeus for Texas. Thad, tell other people how you can tell the people how they can find you.
Yes, on Facebook and Instagram, it's going to be Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, or also you can go to @Thaddeus Cleveland. Just do a search for that, and it'll take you to some other social media links. And one thing I just want to add is, you know, of course, having been a Border Patrol for half of my life, and then I just turned 50, but after being the sheriff for the last 15 months, I tell you, support your local law enforcement. Again, I've always known that they do a lot, but until I was the one, sometimes a marriage counselor, sometimes the dog catcher, sometimes I'm cleaning toilets at the local park, regardless of what I'm doing, and I'll do any of it. But your local law enforcement, they do a lot, and they take a lot of calls, and they deal with a lot of stuff that is may belong in someone else's, you know, ballpark. But just give them the support, and God bless y'all. Again, Thaddeus for Texas.com, and we'll catch y'all down the road.
All right, Thad, we appreciate you being on, my friend. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. How does that sound? Guys, I just made America feel like they were on the conservative version of the Blair Witch Project. Thank you to our amazing sponsors, the Montgomery County Tea Party. That is actually going to be speaking at the Montgomery County Tea Party this coming up meeting. I believe it's on the 18th, 21st. So make sure that you're there. Senator Betancourt's going to be there as well, so it'll be a great time. So make sure that you are part of the fun. Also, the Vietnam Veterans of America. Don't forget to check them out, bva.org. The Baytown Bench is going to be having they're going to be hosting the state convention. So you definitely want to make sure that you plug in for that. It's going to be at the end of October, and more details to follow. MTF, as they say. And if you're sick and tired of the big box shopping, like I know you are, check out mammothNation.com/#WeThePeopleWork so that you can get an exclusive discount for signing up, but you also support Texas Fully Loaded. So we would truly appreciate that. And don't forget to go to the Texas Fully Loaded page. You can go to the hashtag hashtag We the People Work button. Contribute to us directly. Contribute to us directly, or you can go to the TFL shop, and of course, don't forget about our other sponsors and friends that we have there on the Texas Fully Loaded website that you can check out. We're trying to coordinate so we can get over to where the balls are in the water. And anyway, so it really is exciting in a sense to kind of be down here, see the hard work that the men and women are doing, that are defending our borders and trying to do their part for America under a terrible administration. Sorry, people aren't used to me being on this phone while I'm on the air. There are people that are doing the right thing. They're truly pouring their heart into what they're doing, as you heard from Sheriff Thaddeus. There's a lot more pieces to the puzzle, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. And that is definitely making sure that he plays a role in that and holding people accountable. That's what this is really about. People can get involved in politics for all the wrong reasons, but there's a lot of right reasons to get involved. And I truly think that if as Thad is in the middle of his exploratory committee, he's finding more and more reasons to say yes to the dress, if you will, and really take the next step. So, but it's a process. It takes time. It takes resources. So truly, Alexandra, thank you for putting that in the comments so I can just tap on it. Go to Thad's website and really find out who he is. And I can promise you, he sells himself short on that website. He really is an amazing person. His heart is truly here for the right reason, and is truly a servant leader. And I have yet to see him interact with anybody that would say otherwise. Yeah. Oh, dang. We should get a picture of that letter. I'm not running. I am running for a margarita truck, though, because it's already freaking 100 degrees out here. Still sweating in the air conditioning. Oh, I'm kidding. It's only it's not quite 100 degrees yet. Whew. Anyway, I'm really excited. We're going to change gears here for just a few short minutes. Hopefully we'll get over to the other side before we're off the air in a couple minutes. But on Monday's show, I've been talking about, and you can see the link for the book is on the Texas Fully Loaded website. But the author of Super Moms Activated and another mom is going to be on the show with us. I believe it's Olivia from the book. They're both going to be on the show with me on Mama's Monday Morning War Room. So make sure that you guys tune in on Monday. I think it's going to be really great for my gang. It's the eve of the first day of school. So I couldn't think of a more better, appropriate time than to get you mamas activated and charged up and pumped up, and even you daddies to get ready for what's to come this school year, and realize that I think that a lot of people think that people have to be bred to be in politics, if you will, right? You look at like the Rockefeller mentality or the Kennedy mentality, or even the Bush mentality, right? This is like a family business. No, this is not a family business. The family business is America. And we have to fight for America. That's where that We the People Work thing comes in that we love to talk about so much. And I want you guys, if you guys can see this right here in the background, this is some of the old wall that was put up here in Eagle Pass, more of the Trump design wall, if you will. And it's but on the other side of it, there's still some of the concertina wire and things like that, because look at how far inland this wall still really is from where the actual river is. And so there are concerns with this particular style wall and it being placed where it can, or where it gets put and stuff. But there's other wall designs, and one that we've talked about, I know we've talked about it here on the show, is called Earthlock. It's ERTHLOCK. No, LOC. And I think you can find that at .com, definitely on YouTube, and see the different opportunities that are available, because it's not our border. And I've said this a million times, our border is not a one size fits all border. And so one solution that will work in Terrell, or out in California. So, we have a big border, and so there's got to be more than one solution. This can't, and hey, look, there's also wide open spaces, because you get the gates wide open, and it's not just in one place. Here comes another one. Here comes another one. Because of this hug and kiss mentality that the left wants you to believe needs to be the new law or the new rights, it's not that way. We have the rights to turn people away. They need to come through the bridges. I mean, you guys saw the bridges where we were just at. It's not. They can still seek asylum at a bridge. They don't need to come across our border illegally. They can do it the right way, just like hundreds of millions of people have done in years and years and years past. This is a land of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants, but the nation of immigrants did the right way. Here, and they talk about the Statue of Liberty. Oh, we've always been a sanctuary city. Yeah, no, they all had to stay on the island, Ellis Island. Staten Island. Oh my Ellis Island.
Closer.
History major. They all had to stay on Ellis Island until
homeschool history
until they
Heather, you fail.
until they got through their process. They didn't just get to be like, slap dab, we're here, so you have to let us in. No, they would turn people away. They would put them back on ships and send them back if they didn't meet the criteria. They had to prove their case, which is exactly what the process is about. You need to prove your case for why you want to be here. That's why when people do get their citizenship, it's such a precious moment for them. It's a beautiful ceremony. It's a beautiful feeling of pride and accomplishment. There's no pride and accomplishment in coming through the border illegally and having to live your life in the shadows. It's awful. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So why people continue to do that is absolutely unreal to me. We have, oh good, we still have plenty of time. We've got 9 here where I'm going to have to let that out for Mr. Simon, because we've said balls on this show way too many times for him not to say something. So hopefully Simon he's probably just busy because he's a busy guy and it's Friday. So if you're in the Lytle area, and you will be this evening, don't forget about their food truck park that they do, and all the fun stuff. You can always check out what Simon's got going on at the Lytle Chamber of Commerce. That always pushes everything out. And I just blanked on all of his other feeds, but you can always check it out. The Lytle Chamber of Commerce. They'll have everything that's going on. Now I'm gonna see if I can try and turn you guys around here. Just kidding. Not yet. We were talking about that. I think that actually specifically mentioned, some of the reasons that we need to make sure that there's barriers up is that there's even pecan orchards down here on the river. Of course, you guys remember that. Huh? I'm getting there. You guys remember about a month or so ago, we got to have water. And our backyard This is something I didn't know, but when you touch a watermelon, even while it's still on the vine, it releases it kind of like takes the film off of the watermelon, and so now it's going to starts its process of decaying, for lack of better terms, right? Because even if it's not cut from the vine, it's a special film that watermelon just have on them. And so when they come through and they're touching the watermelon and they're leaving it because they're just kind of running or fill in the blank, that whole entire area is now contaminated. And I can't use it. So, when there's a bigger thing at stake, and the food process here in the United States is affected by illegal migration. They want to say it helps it, and it really does not. And in fact, the people who are doing the food harvesting illegally are even getting the shaft, for every sense of that word, because of they're not getting paid the fair wage that they would get paid if they were doing it legally. And so, they're making $7 under the table. Over half of that goes back to the cartel. And if they would have done it the correct way, they'd be making about $14 an hour plus per diem, or bonuses, or however they calculate it out. So, there is more than one reason that illegal immigration is wrong. And when you realize that it's taking away from the people who are trying to do it the legal way. When I ran for Congress the first time, I met a gentleman at a farmer's market there in Laredo. And he specifically told me the story that his wife was stuck on the other side of the border because they were they were married. He was a U.S. born citizen, and she was following the proper steps for her paperwork. Now she was stuck on the other side of the border. She wasn't allowed to come back to their home in Austin, and so he was having to come down so that he could go across and see her because she was stuck. And he was a Democrat and everything else, and so these were some of the things that people don't realize. And he said, "You don't understand. My family is getting ruined because of this process. We keep getting pushed back because of the people who are coming into our country illegally." How Democrats into place is they were, I applauded him, and we prayed together for him and his family to be reunited. But that was just one of many stories that I've heard of where families are being separated at the border because they're trying to do it the legal way. The legal way. And every single one of these people who comes through the border craps all over people who visit the United States. And what the United States so blunt. In the story. So sorry, but we're getting right up here to the balls. What a moment. What a sight to behold.
That's what they're playing.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're here, and we're gonna we may end up using a couple minutes of grace. Ken, I love you, so thank you in advance. But we should be okay because we still have a full 3 minutes before it's the twilight hour. Twilight moments, I should say. Blocking traffic.
Don't even see us. That's funny. He's asleep. Get a picture of that. He's asleep.
He
Didn't even know
is
we passed.
asleep. Bless his heart.
That knocked on his window.
Yeah.
We're gonna come out this way. Dude was asleep.
He
Hey,
was.
fool. Wait a minute. I gotta wake up.
He was in fact asleep. Hold on now. Hold on. We're getting there. We're getting there. The weeds are kind of high at the fence too, so it'll be fun for you guys to see this. Give us just a second. Might have to stand on top of the truck.
That's what I'm actually going to drop the tailgate, so y'all can do that. Stand above it. Y'all don't need to be down there.
No, we don't need to be down there.
This is perfect because that's what they're complaining about.
Yeah. Y'all are going to absolutely crack up laughing. It doesn't even touch the shore.
Literally what I say.
We got 1 minute left. Again, I'm going to go all the way to the wire at 11:59, just so you know.
Y'all got a mound y'all can stand up on top of.
Oh, yeah, that looks secure. Like I'm trying to jump out of the truck like a... Okay. All right, guys. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. If you remember correctly, I feel like we're in a little moment here with you guys. Okay, here it is. There's that big old wall footage that we've been promising you. Now I'm gonna have to kind of try and turn you guys in a weird way so that you can see it over here. Hold on. So here is the floating barrier. Now the U.S.-Mexico border is just on the other side of those orange balls, so it's still in U.S. territory. Now here's the greatest part. If you remember, we talked about that ridiculous kayaker who was claiming and crying that this is hurting his industry. It starts right there. I hope you guys can see this. I've got nothing but glare because it's sunny. So you can literally see the end of it right there on the other side of that light post. I'm hoping you guys can see this. And so you can actually still get through this if you really wanted to. Now the cool thing is that there's actually a chain barrier. It's like a linked fence, if you will, but it's steel. It's steel. Look, I ain't got time for links, neither do you. It's steel, and it's bolted into the riverbed. It's exactly the same platform. Well, yeah, well, yes, but which is in the riverbed. So this is what they're complaining about. Don't believe all the hype. This is what they're complaining about. What we'll do is we'll clip some of this so that you guys can see it and make it a little bit more shareable for just this clip back here. But this is the ridiculousness that the left is trying to tell you. Oh, that's funny. There is cattle in the river way over there. I don't know if y'all will be able to see it because it's kind of hard for me to see. But this is what they're trying to propagate. This is what they want you to believe is hurting the environment. This is what they want you to believe is killing people. This is what they want you to believe is actually the root cause of all evil. When in fact, that's it. That's it. But you know what? The left is nothing but liars and deceivers. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're wanting you to believe that the United States of America, more specifically the state of Texas, is trying to kill illegal immigrants. That is the furthest thing from the truth. It is a lie from the devil himself. So if it comes from a Democrat's mouth, like Tony Gonzalez, just assume that it's a lie and it's not true. The men and women that are down here on this border are committed to making sure that people are doing things the right way and that there's safety. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you've ever been in love with law enforcement, or if you've ever been part of anybody that has a badge or a gun, you know that at the end of the day, it's who gets to go home and see their family. And every single time they pick their family, and God love them for doing that. And I wouldn't want it any other way. So when they're out there telling you that this is going through the entire river, that this is hurting the environment or anything else, just tell them to go kick rocks because it's the furthest thing from the truth. Guys, we love you. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Get out there and do some Way the People work. I'll see you Monday morning with Super Moms Activated. Love you guys. Bye, y'all.